Good morning, classroom family, and welcome to your Thursday, June 4th, 2020. We are getting to the end of the very first week of June, and we're heading into the very first weekend in June. So that'll be very exciting. I wanted to just talk about our riddle of the week. So thank you so much for all of your attempts in trying to solve it. I'm really proud of all of you, but no one got the answer right on. So I'm going to repeat the riddle for the last time, and this time I'm going to give you the correct answer, and we'll start off with a brand new one on Monday. So if you recall, the riddle was, what has stores, streets, cities, and towns, but no people? The answer is a map. Or I would have accepted a globe. Remember I said we have the two items back in our classroom at St. Paul? So a map and a globe will show cities, towns, often stores, landmarks, but not people. Okay, we'll have streets and even ponds or bodies of water, but maps, for the most part, do not show people. So that's the only place where you'll find everything else but not people. All right, maybe it was a little tough, so I'll try to find a different one for Monday. All right, but thanks again for trying. Right, it only makes you smarter. All right, I wanted to go through your activities for the next couple of days, as these files are being assigned for today, Thursday, and tomorrow, Friday, June 5th, and they should take you well into the weekend as well. We're going to start off with some reading comprehension for both grades. And the grade ones have a fiction story called Lily and the Missing Keys. And the grade twos, your text isn't a fiction story, but it's an actual poem, and it's called Whale Watch Wonder. And I thought it was perfect because you are exploring the animal kingdoms and science as well. So both are fiction. One is a fiction story and one is a fiction poem. And there are the regular activities that follow. Some are vocabulary activities connected to the text and questions. But grade ones and twos, what I would like you to do, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, I want you to read each text a couple of times, even up to 3 or 4 times. And I want you to be aware of the following things. Make sure you're reading at a reasonable pace. Remember, clarity, volume, expression, and pace. Clarity, meaning that you pronounce everything clearly. Volume, that you're loud enough. Expression, that you're saying it with feeling or emotion. Your voice should show some kind of expression. And finally, pace, that you're reading so that everyone can understand. You're not going too fast, you're not going too slow or robotic, all right? So keep that in mind, and also stop at periods, pause at commas, and make sure when you get to a roadblock word, you try to fight through and pronounce it on your own. And if you've tried all of your reading skills and you need to stop and ask someone for help or look in a book, that's fine as well. All right, boys and girls, give me one quick second. I'll be right back. There we go. I just have a little visitor who wanted to be part of the lesson. Okay, there we go. All right. All right, see, she wants to get in on the learning. All right, so that is your language activity for the week, grade ones and twos. And like I said, while answering the questions in complete sentences is important and necessary, I want you to try reading each text 2 or 3 times until you can read it fluently. That means that you're not stopping. It's all right if it takes you a couple of days and even into the weekend. So because this is a skill, I want you to enter your next grade with. So whether you're entering grade 2 in September or whether you're entering grade 3, I really want to make sure you have the strongest reading skills, because with those, you will be able to succeed in all of the other subjects, all right? Let's move on to math. And your math is a continuation of geometry. And remember, we started exploring transformations, geometric transformations, which, if you remember, mean the different positioning of 2-dimensional shapes, all right? And we can move those shapes in 3 main ways. One is a translation, which we can start from now on calling a slide, all right? So if this is your shape, this is a translation. The second is a reflection. It's like looking in a mirror when an object just flips. So we're going to call it a flip from now on. Flip. So this is a flip. See the other side? And finally, the last one is a rotation, which is a turn. Sometimes it's a full turn, sometimes it's a half turn. And what I've done is, because identifying this can be a little bit challenging, I have attached the answers for this first activity onto the back. However, try not to look there. Challenge yourself first. And this activity makes it a bit easy because they've put a dot on each shape to let you know which way it's changing its position. This will make it easier. This way you'll know whether it's a slide or a flip. For example, let's look at question number 2, the double-sided arrow. So if this is our double-sided arrow, and there's the black dot, and then it flips, if it were a slide, the black dot would be in the same place. But is it in the same place? No, it's not. It's a flip. A reflection, but we're going to call it a flip to make life easier. Now, if we go down to the star, take a look at the black dot, and now let's look where it's moved. That is a slide because all it did was change its position, moving across, and the dot is in the exact same place. Okay, so that's a little hint to help you out. So please keep that in mind, my friends. And the second page, once you do the harder page, I've decided to give you something a bit more enjoyable with objects. It's easier to identify the position of two-dimensional objects or pictures like this, whether it's a slide, a flip, or a turn, okay? And write the full word when you're identifying. And on the first page, it might be even helpful to color. Like I showed you in the example in the last video, if you color the shape in its first position one color, try to color the shape in its changed position in a different color. All right, so enjoy that. Now we're going to separate things once again for science. I'm going to start off with the grade 1 science. What I have attached for you, grade 1s, is 7 slides having to do with how plants make their own food. And remember, we talked a bit about that. That process is called photosynthesis. Now, you don't have to print these slides. All you have to do is spend some time reading through them. And once you are done reading through the slides, you have a question page with 5 questions, and I'm going to ask you to answer the questions in full sentence form. Again, a skill that will help you next year, whether you're going to grade 2 or grade 3. All of the information needed to answer these questions will be found in the slides. So for example, I'll go through just a bit with you. This is just a cover page, which will not take you long to read. And there are also diagrams here. So the first page talks about how we actually know plants are living things. Well, how do we know they're living things? Is it because they walk around and move? That's not how. Think about what they do actually do that makes them living things. And that information is right here. You can actually see it. I'm pointing to it. These are the things they do. You'll find that answer in this section. And the next slide continues to talk about how plants live and breathe. Then we go into how they actually make their own foods, which starts in their roots. And we call this the plant's digestive system. Just like we have a digestive system, so do plants. That's another reason why they're a living thing. And there's a great image here, and it explains the entire process, and it tells you that a plant does need water, solar energy, and carbon dioxide to produce its own food. And once it does so, it forms a sugar called glucose. And sometimes in that process, there's leftover oxygen. And that is a good thing for us because we benefit from that. That oxygen that's left over goes right back out into the environment, and it helps other living things as well. All right, so this should be enjoyable for you, and pay attention to the diagrams as well. And your questions are in a separate file, and there are 5 of them for you. All right, now I'm going to go over to the grade 2 science, which is, again, we're focusing on growth and changes in animals, and we're still focused on reptiles. In the last slide, you read information about a reptile. Now we're looking at a specific reptile, which is a snake. And snakes are very interesting because they're one of those creatures that are so very different from us. They don't have a spine or a vertebrae like we do. They actually hatch eggs when new baby snakes are born, and they're covered not in skin or fur, but they're covered in scales. And this article mentions some really interesting, cool facts about snakes, like why they often stick out their tongues. It tells you all about why they do that. It tells you that they actually shed their skin when they grow too big. And it will also mention how they're able to eat something without swallowing. And the next article you have is on a specific type of snake called a boa constrictor. And again, on the back side, you have questions to answer. You are either filling in information or you are deciding if something is a true statement or not. And remember, again, read through these articles slowly and carefully so that you understand the terms. If you get to a new or unfamiliar word, which we call roadblock words because they stop you from moving on, stop and use all of your reading strategies and skills that we've learned all year. All right, my friends, so these are your files for the next couple of days. I want you to enjoy them, but most importantly, I'm asking you to start taking your time and being extra diligent and careful with your schoolwork because we're reaching the end now, and you might forget little pieces of information, but what you can never forget are the good skills you learn. Once you have a good study habit or a good skill, you can use that anytime. You might forget how to spell a certain word, or you might forget the answer to something. But once you develop good strategies and study skills, those will always help you learn new things over again. All right, so I want to wish you a wonderful end of the week, and I'll be in touch very soon. But please have a wonderful, safe first weekend in June, and I will see you next week for more wonderful learning. Take care and have a wonderful weekend, my friends.